Hi guys, and welcome to the second part of my Demon Slayer tier list video. Just as I promised, this is a manga spoiler tier list, unlike the first one I did where I only put my anime thoughts on it. The last one was meant to be like the objective opinion everyone should have on the characters based on their screen time, because if you only watch the anime, there's like 10 characters that are really highlighted, while the others are in the background. They didn't get that much screen time yet, so I think the opinions shouldn't be that varied. Meanwhile, in this tier list, I'm going to be saying my personal opinion. It might be wrong, a lot of you might disagree, but since all of these characters got a lot more stuff in the manga, I think everyone would feel different about them. The tiers are going to be top 5 for me. I'm going to be putting my favorite characters here, and then at the end of the tier list I'm going to move up the top 5. This is going to be hard. I don't know for now who's going to be here. Maybe I have an idea about 2 or 3 characters. Really good and good are self-explanatory. Mid, just as I said in my last tier list, doesn't mean bad. It means okay characters. It means they had their part, they were interesting or funny, but they maybe didn't get that much time, or they just didn't affect the main plot. Kinda bad, not gonna lie. It's just as it says. Personal grudge towards them is a really interesting category. I already know who's going to be here. These characters, I think they are wasting their potential, or I just personally didn't like them, but I know some people might. And then there's didn't affect the story. These are filler characters, these are episodic characters, like, yeah, they come in, they fight Tanjiro once or something, and it just doesn't matter, or they talk to him. Like this. This is a good example for didn't affect the story. The lower moons, except for Rui, are all going to be here, so expect that. So without further ado, let's go, guys. Again, this is my opinion. I know you might not agree with it, but I hope we can talk about it in the comments. Take a look at my drawing videos, my art. Hope you see you guys more. Okay, let's go. Genya. I think Genya is a really good character. Through the show, I think he grows a lot. I mean, I don't think he grows in our eyes, okay? He is always deep down like a gentle kind guy, but he puts up this front to be a bad person, to push Tanjiro away and stuff. Because he has a grudge against Tanjiro also. He broke his arm in the final selection. I've seen a lot of people compare Genya to Inosuke, and I think that's somewhat fair. I can see the resemblance, but Genya is a lot more human in a weird way. When he grows up to like Tanjiro, their relationship is really good. Like in the Hashira training arc, he teaches Tanjiro about Gyomei's teaching methods. He really encourages him, he helps him a lot, and I really like Genya. By the way, I might move this in the video because I'm going to be ranking these characters based on who is in the higher tiers and who is in the lower tiers. Like, I'm going to be comparing them to each other also, not only on... you know what I mean. Akaza. I said this in my last video too. Akaza is my favorite demon. I know a lot of people really like Okushibo. I think some people like Muzan, but not that many. I think we can all agree Muzan is not that good of a character. Akaza though, I'm going to put him here for now. He's my favorite demon. I think even only in the anime, if you really pay attention in the Rengoku fight, I really like how he respects his opponent, how he enjoys the fights. I think he's really fun even then. Then there's the upper moon scene in the Infinity Castle. Again, it's animated, where he shows visible annoyance towards the other demons, especially Doma. And I think that's really good, you know. Then there's his fight with Tanjiro and Gyu, yeah? Objectively, that's the point where he shines the most. Some might say he does in the Infinity arc, but I disagree in the Train arc. His fight with Gyu and Tanjiro is so extremely good, like it's probably one of my favorite. And I think it's really, really amazing. His backstory also is really sad. We can all agree his backstory is sad. I think one of the best ones. I mean, what Demon Slayer does really good is humanizing their villains. But like Akaza's whole thing of killing himself, kind of, and overall, I think he's really, really good character. He is a driving force for Tanjiro. I think Tanjiro hates Muzan maybe as much as Akaza. Like, what Akaza did to Tanjiro's mentor, someone he looked up to, like, really pushed him forward to get better and to have his revenge on Akaza. And I think that's really important, but overall I really like him. Guys, here we get to the personal grudge towards them category. Gyoko, I like to call him Call of Duty Ghost, is a character with such an amazing design. Like, he's so scary and so interesting. But then he isn't that relevant to the story. He's a lot worse than Upper Six in my opinion. He didn't even seem that strong, but that's maybe because Muichiro whooped his ass. But his whole personality is centered about art and passion for creating beautiful stuff. It's kind of like Deidara from Naruto, but it just doesn't have that charm. Like, Gyoko's whole thing is not that interesting. Like, he just keeps repeating how beautiful he is and his art is. Meanwhile, he's really, really bland, and that's all he ever does, you know? Guys, I'm sorry for my dog barking in the background constantly. Anyways, I just really don't like Gyoko. I think he's a wasted opportunity for a really scary and powerful demon. And that's kind of all. He's one of the reasons this category even exists. The Spider family, except Rui, I'm going to be putting them on kind of bad. I mean, they do affect the story. Their fights are really important for those characters, especially like Zenitsu, for example. Inosuke too. But they're bad. Like, they're not intended to be liked or anything. I mean, they kind of have that sad thing, especially the sister. But hey, the father for now is in kind of bad. Rui, I'm going to be putting him in good. I really think, especially for the anime, Rui really carried Demon Slayer's popularity. Because Rui exists and his fight exists, Demon Slayer really blew up in popularity. he was strong for that time. He was really strong for that time, and Tanjiro obviously unlocks his, Kamikagura or sun breathing in that fight, and that's really, really important. Also, Nezuko unlocks her Blood Demon art. He himself, as a character, was really interesting in my opinion. He had a sad backstory with his family and stuff like that. Overall, he's like a really good character in my opinion. Nakime is in mid for now. I might change it. She's there. She's like Muzan's secretary in my eyes. She's his little hoe. She manages the Infinity Castle, which is the most interesting place in the whole story, in the whole universe. Like, the Infinity Castle is so cool, but that's kinda all she does. She gets beat up by Yuichiro, right? Is that his name? Or is it like Yushiro? Something like that. It's actually this guy. It starts with a Y. I'm not really remember his name. I'm going to put him in good. Yeah, sure. But below Rui. He's the assistant of Tamayo. In the anime itself, he's kind of annoying sometimes. Like, he simps over Lady Tamayo a lot. It's funny sometimes. Sometimes it's cringe. But when he comes back in the final fight, he does a fair share of stuff. Yeah, it's because he wants revenge for Miss Tamayo. But he's really cool. At the end, I think he helps Tanjiro. I don't really remember in the Sunrise Countdown arc, but he does beat Nakime. This guy, drum guy, is in I'm going to put him in kinda bad, not gonna lie, because I don't think he's as good as Nakime. I do remember liking his fight in the anime. It also has a lot of backstory for him, something about him wanting to be a writer, but his work wasn't appreciated. It was interesting, but I didn't really care. It's like 1 or 2 episodes for this character, and it's more for Tanjiro's development. But his whole mansion arc was interesting. This is like Muichiro's swordsmith, the guy who also stays with Haganezuka and helps him forge the sword. I'm going to put him in didn't affect the story, even though he maybe did, but just a little bit, and I don't think it's that important as like the kid swordsmith. He might be here. We'll see. These kids are all in didn't affect the story. I think they're very funny sometimes with Tanjiro, but overall they're like not interesting. Of course they're not meant to do anything, guys. They're just there to be funny. Okay, here we get to Tanjiro. I'm going to explain first. I think a lot of people place him in the same category as Deku from My Hero, or maybe Naruto, and all these basic shonen protagonists that people just overlook their qualities, but Tanjiro is one of them. They always say he's only crying and he's so compassionate towards the demons that it takes away from his character, but I disagree. Tanjiro's whole character is based on the fact that he is a really caring person who wants to help everyone, even his enemies. But the moment he decides to hate a villain, like Akaza or Daki, or of course Muzan, I think it's so interesting the way he snaps. He goes berserk mode on them, like no emotion, no anything, and it's so it. I always compare it a little bit to Gon's transformation. Gon's from Hunter x Hunter is a lot more drastic, but it only happens once. Tanjiro does it's the same thing in my eyes because these are such pure innocent characters. Like they kill villains, but they always try not to. They always try to be good to them. But then they are forced in these situations and they just that it's so hype when they decide to start killing everything in their path, especially like one villain they really hate. I'm going to put Tanjiro on favorite characters for now, but he's definitely going to be in top 5 for me. He's one of those I know that's going to be there. Lady Tamayo is really good in the manga, in the final fight. Her backstory with Muzan, she is the first demon he created. And her whole thing, I'm not sure if it ever explains why she's such a good person, despite having a lot of Muzan's blood. But her whole quest of saving the demon race and trying to turn them back to human, her whole affection for the Kamado siblings is like really good. I really like her when she comes and injects Muzan with that poison. She's definitely one of the reasons they even win that fight. Like, she did as much as all the Hashiras or Tanjiro for that win, that victory. I'm going to put her in. I mean, I like her a lot more than Rui and Yushiro. I'm going to put her here for now. Maybe she's top of good. Because I like Genya a lot more. I just grew more attached to Genya. I'm gonna leave it there for now. Muichiro Tokito, I like to call him Muichiro, is one of my favorite. Okay, all 9 of the Hashira are really good in, and that's the whole idea. They each get their arc, or yeah, maybe they split their arc with someone else, but they are supposed to be liked, I think. Seeing their point of view and their backstory and their hate for demons gets really understandable. Like, people might have hated all of them when it was the Hashira meeting arc, but I think that's so unfair, especially for like Sanemi and Obanai, but we'll get to them later. Muichiro is now getting his anime adaptation for his arc, and I know a lot of people will really like Muichiro, probably going to be their favorite Hashira for now. He easily outshadows Rengoku or Uzui. I'm going to put him in favorite characters for now, but no, I think he's going to stay there. There though, behind Akaza and Tanjiro. His backstory is so epic. He bashes a demon's head without any sword. Like, he doesn't have a tool to kill it, so he just keeps hurting it until the sun comes. His whole thing with, I mean, all of these Hashira got influenced by Oyakata-sama, Ubayashiki. His relationship with the master is just as good as any of the others, but I think Muichiro is like my 3rd or 4th favorite Hashira. We'll see. Makio is one of Uzui's wives. She's going to be in mid, maybe. I mean, it's more fair to put them in didn't affect the story, but I think they do a lot more than like these guys. Makio especially, I mean, I guess Hinatsuru does the most. But I will put all of them in mid, because after all, they are really hot guys, so that's important in my eyes. This is the way I like them, but hey. Anyway, Lower Moon, just as I said, they're all going to be here. They got obliterated by Muzan, and that's really good because they didn't need to be in the story. Maybe if Muzan sent all of them at once and they fought one Hashira, it would have been interesting or something like that. But it was not worth to spend 5 arcs on more Lower Moons if they would have come one by one. Gyomei or Himejima. A lot of people really like this guy, and I think I like him a lot too. But to be frank with you guys, this is one of my more controversial opinions, I think. He is one of my least favorite Hashira. I like all of them a lot, but I think Gyomei is not that interesting, even though he fights in the biggest 2 battles of the series with Muzan and with Kokushibo, and he's really good in both of them. His backstory is really good. His part in the Hashira training arc where he accepts Tanjiro as a true swordsman is really touching. He's going to be really good, but below Genya. And I think maybe I'll see later. I just really like Genya that much more. He's just as I said before, guys, I really like all of the Hashira, but Gyomei is my least favorite. He just didn't resonate with me. The Swamp Demon, a personal grudge towards him. I really hated his whole episode. Like the screeching of the teeth and his whole idea is that he was a predator demon. He attacked girls and talked a lot about how they were ripe or something like that. I just personally really hate this guy. I don't think his fight even did that much for Tanjiro's character as maybe even this guy's fight. I just don't like him. But compared to Gyoko, I think no one likes this guy. Like absolutely no one. Maybe someone thought he was funny for 2 seconds. Is his name Haganezuka or something like that? He's really cool. I'm going to put him here. His whole scene with Gyoko and him being tortured to death, like he was killed bit by bit by Gyoko, but he just kept forging the sword. He's such a giga chat, guys. He's so awesome and I like him a lot. The rest of his scenes with the whole thing about threatening Tanjiro and being really angry that he broke his sword, even though that was later explained as a facade, like he really liked Tanjiro as one of his only customers. I think it's overdone. Sometimes it's annoying and I just didn't really like it. Inosuke, favorite characters, but below all of these guys. Inosuke is one of those, I think comes in the Bakugo category. And that's the whole idea. He's a character you're supposed to at least don't like in the beginning. Maybe not hate, but you're supposed to dislike him for sure when you start watching the series. But he keeps growing and growing and you understand him more. And then, guess what? He's one of your favorite characters. In the Infinity Train arc, I think he started to shine. He really helped Tanjiro there. But, of course, his peak moment is in the fight with Doma. I think we can all agree there. Him learning about his mother, that was really unexpected. Maybe a little bit of convenience there. It was a little bit convenient that Doma knew Inosuke's mother. But it's like really interesting, and his whole attitude towards his friends, like he just doesn't have that kind of emotion. He doesn't know how to interact with other people, but deep down he really cares about all of them. We see that in Rengoku's death at the end of Mugen Train, where he cries through the mask. Overall, though, his breeding style is so interesting because he created it himself. His whole set of skills. The only thing I didn't like about Inosuke is his plot armor. It's, I mean, I accepted it. The fact that he can literally dislocate his arms, and more than that, he can change where his vital organs are in his body. I think that's really stupid. I mean, dislocating is a real life talent that can be done, but the whole organ thing was like, yeah, sure. It's for plot armor. People really like Inosuke, but I can't complain. I'm really glad he didn't die because then he got his fight with Doma. Urokodaki. To be frank with you guys, I didn't like Urokodaki in Tanjiro's training arc because he straight up, I don't feel like he helped Tanjiro that much. Like he just made him run on a mountain and taught him some basic sword things. But I think it was mostly off screen. And then he comes with a clutch when he saves them through the letter sent to the Hashira. He does show up more in the final arcs. He's there to help Nezuko. Overall, I think he's a good character below Haganezuka, I think. I have a personal grudge towards the crows. Like, I really hate the crows. I know some people like the crows, like Rengoku's, which cries when he dies. But I find them really annoying, like they're so obnoxious. They always yell and it just really bothers me. Okay, it's unfair to put Tanjiro's family in didn't affect the story though. Mid? Like, they shouldn't be here. They're too high up. But, like, they're so important to Tanjiro. I'm going to leave them there because they're even that screen time they get, like 2 minutes, is like really wholesome, you know. And in the flashbacks or like the dream from Enmu, their relationship with Tanjiro is really good. I really like them, but they just, you know, everyone knows what happens. They weren't there. They died a very, very early death. Gyutaro is really good. Oh, I like all of the upper moons except Gyoko. Gyutaro though is maybe really good below these two. I think Gyutaro gets so much personality in the anime, especially like his voice actor and everything is so good in the show, but I liked him in the manga too. He's really fun to watch. His fight is so good, and his backstory, his relationship with Daki, just as Tanjiro says it, it could have been him. It's Tanjiro and Nezuko if they both turn into demons, okay? And they live for like 100 years. And it's understandable. I really felt bad for him, even though he did a lot of bad stuff. Sabito. I really didn't expect him to come back. When he came back in Gyu's backstory, I was so hyped because that was just so good. For no reason. It's like 3 lines in Gyu's monologue or something where he says that someone saved him and that's the only reason he passed the final selection. You know Gyu's backstory. But I really liked Sabito just for that. He got so much more interesting, so much more personality. Maybe here. Nah, actually it's the bottom of good because he's just a backstory character, but he's so interesting. Meanwhile, Makomo, that's her name, I think, is in mid. She didn't help that much in Tanjiro's training either as Sabito, but they are so important for Gyu, and I really like that random connection. Maybe it's not random; it was really good. I thought it was really good. Yeah, mid. Actually, the little girls are in. It didn't affect the story. The wife does a lot more. She's like a substitute for Ubayashiki when he starts getting really sick. Their whole thing with Ubayashiki blowing them up, I was so surprised. Like, and he didn't even do anything to Muzan. Actually, it was so random, but I liked it. It was interesting. Tanjiro's dad. A lot of people thought he was Yorichi and stuff like that, especially anime watchers and stuff. He gets a lot of stuff. He's probably a good character in my eyes. Maybe somewhere here. He knew all of these techniques, like he knew sun breeding. He had the see-through world with like the no killing intent technique that Tanjiro learns. He was so strong, but he was a coal miner because I guess he wanted to live a safe life with his family, and he was sick. But that's kind of all he does, you know. Enmu, kind of bad, not gonna lie, but above all of these, I don't have a personal grudge to Enmu, but he was one of the only demons who didn't actually get a backstory. Like, not even Tanjiro cared about this guy. He was just that, like, there. He did the whole merging with the train thing. He became Thomas the Tank Engine, but an evil version of him. Very interesting. His power was interesting. The dream stuff, the tentacle stuff was weird, but hey. Overall, I I liked him more than the other lower moons, but still not that good. This guy had the sickest design, by the way. He looked so cool. Kaigaku, and here is, I believe, the last one who goes into personal grudge. Kaigaku's character is not that bad, actually. Like, maybe he's not that objectively bad, but I just don't like. He does so much for Zenitsu, and Zenitsu is one of my favorite characters. We'll get to Zenitsu. I'll talk a lot about Zenitsu. But Kaigaku himself is just such a piece of shit, guys. He's such a bastard for no reason, and he doesn't get the screen time to make me care about his backstory or shine more of a light on his and Zenitsu's. I mean, they were kind of friends, but not really, even before. If they would have given him a better relationship with Zenitsu, it would have me more. I just don't. I think he was such a bastard. I really hate him. And I think it's supposed to be like that. People are supposed to hate him, but hey, that's where he goes. These are all the personal grudge characters. The crow is unfair to be here. I'm going to put the crow in not in kinda bad because I like some of the crows. I don't see Zenitsu's bird. Zenitsu's bird is actually really cute and interesting for no reason. But I really hate these three demons. These are one of the only characters I hate from Demon Slayer because I think they are either wasted potential, like these two are wasted potential, or just creepazoids like this guy. He's such a retard. Shinobu. Definitely one of the smartest characters in the show, in the story. Just like I said before, I really liked all of the she's going to be there for now. I really liked all of the Hashira, her plan to defeat Doma, her whole thing with Doma, like everything about Shinobu is really good actually. She might be in favorite, but I'll see. Everything about Shinobu is amazing. She's funny, she's sweet, her backstory is sad, her connections with the other characters, like when she dies, even Inosuke gets a huge reaction. Like in the background, even off screen, Shinobu did so much for the main team. She's such a good person, and I really think she is amazing. Her whole poison thing, her whole grudge towards Mr. Doma is so cool, and her fight is so cool, even though her fight is really short. She was one of the weak. No, she was actually the weakest Hashira, right? But she did a lot. She worked with Tamayo for the poison to slowly turn Muzan back into a human. Murata. This guy is so weird. He's in a lot of fights in the background or at the end of fights. It's so funny to me how the author keeps, like, in all shows you have these background characters, troop members, like they're just soldiers. But Murata is always here, like the author didn't want to draw more Demon Slayers and he uses Murata a lot. He's mid, but he's funny. I think the whole thing with him appearing in a lot of fights and he starts arguing with Yushiro or whatever his name is in the Infinity Train arc when they save Zenitsu. But he genuinely cares for Tanjiro and everyone for some reason. I mean, a lot of people really like Tanjiro in the show. That's his whole thing. Didn't affect the story. This is the guy who Zenitsu one-shots. Just for Zenitsu's scene, he gets in kinda bad. Because I don't have a grudge towards him. And he kind of affected the story because he showcased Zenitsu's standard breeding for the first time. The mom, I'm going to put her in mid. Even though I said all of the spider members are going to be in kinda bad. But now that I think about it, no. I liked the mom. Like, her death was so beautiful and so peaceful. And it really shows that Tanjiro, as long as his enemies show any sign of sadness or humanity, I would say, he makes their death painless. But again, it's for Tanjiro's character, but I really liked her whole thing. Hantengu, again, just as Gyoko, no one likes the Swordsmith village arc because of the villains. Like, the villains are a downside to that arc in my eyes. Like, they're not that good. I actually put him in mid. Nah, I'll put him in good, above like these people, because he was really interesting. He's very powerful. He has like 8 million clones. But his fight with. He fights a lot of people. The first part, where he fights Nezuko and Genya, is a little bit worse than the second part, I think. His whole chase with Tanjiro chasing him through the woods, and Mitsuri fending off the strongest clone, I don't remember his name, the one with the dragons. I bet it's going to look really good in the anime. I can't wait for it. Right now there are like 3 episodes of the anime out. But overall, he's not that interesting. Like none of the clones were that interesting. They are just a lot of enemies, really strong enemies, which I didn't care for that much. Also, his backstory is presented in like one panel, right before Tanjiro slashes his head off. Dragon my balls. Yeah. And her too. Jiggle my balls. That's, yeah. Yeah. Nezuko. Nezuko gets developed a lot. Her whole point is, I mean, the whole show is centered around Nezuko, right? That's the whole idea. I mean, her and Tanjiro, but Tanjiro's driving force is Nezuko. Her demon personality is cute and funny, that's the whole idea. But at the end of the Swordsmith Village arc, where she becomes partly human, like she can withstand the sun and now she can talk and stuff, it was such an epic scene for me. Like, I really got hooked. I read 30 chapters after that in an instant. She's so wholesome, and Tanjiro's reason is justified for doing everything. He just wants to save his sister, which is, yeah, the only part of his family that's left. I don't think it. I don't know why people wouldn't like Nezuko. She's so good. Now that I think about it, do I like her more than like Shinobu and Genya? I don't know. Now that I look at it. But probably, yes, she's just that important. And she's also really powerful. Her fights with Daki and, you know, with Hantengu are good. This demon is bad. Kokushibo. Objectively one of, like, upper three, all three of them, 3, 2 and 1, are such good characters. I like all of them more than Muzan, because they are so interesting, they are so fun and everything. Wait, is Muzan even on the list? I think I'm missing Muzan. Unlucky. Well, I'll see. But Kokushibo is such a scary demon, and he has such an aura. Of course, he fights like 8 million people. He himself fights like 3 Hashira and Genya, right? Muichiro, Sanemi, and Gyomei. He's so scary, he's so strong. His moon breeding looks really good. And his backstory is maybe not that sad, but it's really interesting, especially for Yorichi. So of course I'm going to put him in favorite characters. Above like these two. Above Muichiro maybe? I don't know. I don't think he's above Muichiro. Muichiro unlocks the red sword in his fight and he does so much there. But I think it was a group effort I see people saying that Gyomei carried the fight or Sanemi carried the fight. I think everyone, even Genya, really did their part to fight Kokushibo. And it was just so good. I can't wait when this shit gets animated. Wow, wow. Sanemi, again, favorite characters. Above Muichiro. One of my favorites, Ashira, if not my favorite. He's not my favorite because I am very biased towards someone. Sanemi's whole thing with Genya and his backstory is so sad. And a lot of people really hate him in the anime because he wanted to kill Nezuko. But you have to understand that's their job. And when you see their perspective in the manga, you really understand that, hey, everything Sanemi did was justified. In the Hashira training arc, he's really fun, even though he dislikes Tanjiro a lot. And actually, Tanjiro dislikes him. Unlike Obanai, who Tanjiro kinda wants to form a relationship with, but he just doesn't like Sanemi. His whole dedication towards Ubayashiki, the master, and his anger when Genya dies, it's so good, it's amazing. His fighting style is amazing. Like, truly, if you read the manga, Sanemi is one of the best characters, like, it's undoubtedly. Rengoku's father is mid. Nah, he's mid, but maybe here. He's important. He tells Tanjiro a lot about sun breeding, but he was kind of. I mean, I don't want to say he was a bad guy. He is really humanized. Like, you get why he did what he did. Daki. Guy, she has huge booba. Here. She's objectively worse than her brother, right? She doesn't do that much. She is weaker, but that doesn't matter. But hey, she was really good, especially in her backstory. When she dies, it's sad. Like, these two brothers are just like siblings, are such understandable characters. Like, I just get it. I can't do anything about it. I understand what they went through, and it's just really, really sad what happened to them. Her deciding to go with Gyutaro in hell. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be, I think. It's really sad. It's such an emotional scene. Kinda bad. He was important for Zenitsu. Mitsuri. Mitsuri is my favorite girl of the show because, of course, I just think she's really, really wholesome and cute. And I mean, she's one of the only demon slayers, I mean, especially Hashira, who don't have such a sad backstory, right? Like, her backstory is more real, I guess, than all the trauma all of the other ones went through. But she's in my favorite characters, like here. I really, really like Mitsuri, her fight with Hantengu, her fight with Muzan. When they killed Mitsuri and Obanai off screen, I mean, we thought they died. I was so frustrated. I got so mad. She's just that. And the whole thing, if we're here, actually, let's talk about the reincarnation thing in the last chapter. I really don't like the last chapter. Like, yeah, it shows all of them being happy. They have, like, reincarnated into these other people and now they're all living their best life. I think that's really stupid. It, I don't think it worked, but I'm happy for her. She's just such a. She's like Tanjiro, okay? I think even the manga says it sometimes that she's truly kind of like Tanjiro, except female and a little bit of older. She's so pure and innocent, and she has that charisma that makes everyone love her. That's why she's the love Hashira, and that's why I love her. Uh, I'm not a simp. I just appreciate her a lot, and she is very hot. But that's just another thing, I guess. Ignore that. Kinda bad. I don't care. He was in Rengoku's story. He goes like here somewhere. Again, it's for Zenitsu's character, which I really like. I really like Nezuko. What the hell? Zenitsu. Is this guy important? No, not at all. Was he a really good parental figure for Zenitsu and I really liked it? Yes, for sure. His relationship with Zenitsu is so wholesome. This woman didn't affect the story. She gave us some funny Inosuke moment. Zenitsu. Okay, I put him in favorite characters or in really good? I'll put him in favorite characters there. But Mitsuri is above both of these. I just love like he's a lot of people hate Zenitsu, okay? Especially anime onlys. But even manga people just can't warm up to him. They think they're cringe, they think they're not that Zenitsu is just useless and not that funny, and I completely get it, guys. It's just his whole thing with people think he has a split personality, right? Like he's it's two different people when he sleeps and when he doesn't. But the show really presents that as not being the case, because truly Zenitsu is really brave and really thoughtful. He really cares about everyone around him. We can see that even in the anime when he protects Nezuko's box, even though he knows it's a demon in there, but it's important to Tanjiro and he protects it from Inosuke. And later on, we see him use thunder breathing without being asleep. Especially in Kaigaku's fight. Like, Kaigaku's fight is definitely one of... I think everyone loves Kaigaku's fight. I've seen it fan animated a lot of times. It's just perfect, and it's... that whole thing when it's going to be animated in the show, everyone will love it. He is serious there. And after that he drops the whole whiny guy act. It was not his an act, it's his personality, but I don't know why I'm defending Zenitsu for so much. I think not as many people hate him as I think. In my eyes, a lot of people really dislike Zenitsu, but I don't think that's the case, especially since this is a manga tier list. If you read the manga, I trust you like Zenitsu. And yeah. Now, here we go. This is a really biased opinion. A lot of people miss from this tier list. Yeah, I'll talk about them later. I just seen it. Like why are Uzui's wives here but Uzu isn't? Obana is my favorite Hashira. And it's really biased. This is one of my most biased opinions because it's not fair. He has a sad backstory for sure. I really like his relationship with the other Hashira, especially Mitsuri. Like, yeah, he's a simp. I don't care. I actually really like it because I simp Mitsuri too. I don't. I lied. What? But like his fighting style, I think his breathing technique looks amazing. He does so much. The part where his eyes are slashed and he fights using the snake, is so epic and so hype. Like him activating the mark, him fighting, and then they just die of poison. I was so mad. They die of bleeding or of poison, something like that, right? But his relationship with Mitsuri is amazing. His relationship with Tanjiro is amazing. Um, he really doesn't like Tanjiro, but I think he turns around in the Muzan fight and he starts to like him. Overall, it's unfair. Like, a lot of people would like Sanemi a lot more, or even Gyomei, Shinobu. I just really, really like Obanai, and I don't have that good of a reason why. Ubayashiki is in really good, actually. Everything he does, he influences the whole story. All of the Hashiras really respect him, and we see why in each of their case. Um, it's just unfair not to like Ubayashiki. His death is so epic because it's kind of random, but it's so interesting for someone like him to do that. Even in the anime, in the meeting, if you don't like Ubayashiki, I think that's not cool of you. He's just such an awesome guy, and I really like him. Giyu, again, favorite characters of the Hashiras, even before Muichiro. His backstory is amazing, dudes. Like, Giyu's backstory is so well done. And I've talked about it on Sabito's case. Him being like an antisocial guy with no friends is very funny to me. And overall, like, I bet everyone likes you, even the anime people, because I mean, in the manga, in the story itself, people say they don't like you, but it's just like a meme or a joke, even for them. Like Shinobu jokes about it a lot, and then she gets shipped with him. But him activating the mark, him being so precise in his fights, like he adapts his fight based on who he is fighting, but also who is helping him. He chooses all the right breathing techniques to assist Tanjiro. Their fight with Akaze is amazing. Giyu giving his word for Tanjiro, like his life. He said that if Nezuko kills a human, he and Urokodaki will kill themselves. And it's just. Giyu is so amazingly cool. Uh, it's. I don't know if he's above Sanemi for me, but somewhere there. And then there comes Aoi, she's mid, she's funny. Uh, she has a little bit of emotion. Yeah, she's just good. And not Tanjiro, Rengoku's mom, mid again, with the moms, somewhere here. Okay, I see some people missing. So Tengen's missing, Uzui. I would put Uzui in really good, just below Shinobu. one of my least favorite Hashira, but of course I liked him, especially after his arc got adapted, animated. It's so cool, and Uzi is just like a Giga Chad, right? But he also has a sad backstory. All of the Hashira have this in common. And then there's Muzan. And Doma, right? Okay, let's talk about Doma first. I might be missing some characters too. I don't know why this tier list doesn't have this many guys in it. My bad for picking it, but hey. Doma first. Doma would be again in really good here. Like above Gyomei. Doma is such a scary villain. Like he's truly one of the most psychotic and evil characters. He's like on Muzan's level. Doesn't have that much of a sad backstory, but I hate the fact that he's so likable. I love him so much. He's so interesting and entertaining to watch, or maybe even to be around him. I just really like Doma. But I'm so scared of him and I hate him for what he did. So many characters are missing from this tier list. If we're talking about Doma, let's talk about Kanai. Or Kanao. It's Kanao actually. Because I see she's not here. I would put Kanao in favorite characters. I just... Her being stronger than Shinobu in Doma's eyes. And I like how she develops so much from this shy, timid girl who does everything based on the coin. Even that was really sad to me. Like, her backstory, her whole coin thing is really sad in the anime. But then when she fights Doma, she swears at him and like tells him he shouldn't be alive, and like she straight up memes the guy. And it's so... She's such a badass. Her technique is so awesome. In the end, she saves Tanjiro. I know I didn't talk about DKT so much here. I'll get to that in a bit, I guess. Because again, I see someone who's missing. And then, okay, Doma, Kanao. Muzan, I wouldn't put Muzan that high up. I think he has a really strong presence. He's so scary and everything. But truly, he's such a pussy, guys. Like, he is actually even stupid. He sends the upper moons one by one, the Kizuki. It just... I know it's for the plot, and I really like it like this. Them fighting the upper moons one by one is such a good thing. Well, except of Hantengu and Gyoko. But I don't like Muzan as a character. He also doesn't get a backstory. He is conceived as like the pure evil of the show, and that's all. And that's the whole point. Like, that's what the author wanted to make him. And I get that. I would put Muzan in really good, but the last place, maybe above Uber. No, he's not. His fight is so good, he's so scary, he's so strong, but Doma has a different charisma, and so does Kokushibo. And I'm not even talking about Akaza. And one of the last characters I think is missing is Yorichi. Yorichi would be in really good, surprisingly, not in my favorite characters. Because I think people overestimate Yorichi, not in strength, but as a character. I think he just doesn't get that much stuff. He's a backstory character. He's really important. He's a really important plot device for Tanjiro, for Muzan, for all the Hashira. But I just didn't like Yorichi that much. I cared for him. His story was sad, but overall, is like as if you would say one of your favorite characters are Indra and Asura from Naruto, like the early gods, whatever. They're not really gods, you know what I mean. It's just not. And I think Tanjiro is supposed to be like his. Tanjiro is not even his ancestor because he's a son of like the coal miner family, which only learned the techniques from Yorichi. Yeah, that was the whole thing. And if we're talking about Tanjiro and if you're talking about Yorichi, this is the last thing I'm going to bring up is Demon King Tanjiro. Okay, I think they should have done a lot more with him. Not as in like 2 or 3 arcs or anything, maybe like 5 more chapters. I would have liked if Tanjiro killed some of the Hashira instead of them dying from the poison. Even though that would make some people hate Tanjiro again, but it would have been more personal, I think, and he would have to deal with that later. Demon King Tanjiro is a wasted opportunity, even though I think there are some people that think he's the strongest in the verse and some that really hate him, so they say he's so weak and someone like Zenitsu would beat him. Like, come on guys, he's canonically... I don't want to get into this debate of Yorichi versus Demon King Tanjiro, but I think they're about as strong as each other. Their fight would be a hard one because Tanjiro is said to be stronger than Muzan, right? Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to end it. Favorite characters. Okay, Tanjiro is my favorite. And Akaza is my favorite demon. Then we put this guy in. Obanai because I'm biased. And probably Sanemi. In this order. Something like this. I think this is my top 5 favorite characters in Demon Slayer. It's a really biased list. I think you should all agree that they are all good characters though. It's unfair of you to say they're not. But Obanai is probably not supposed to be there. It's just my my personal opinion on him. I just really liked him unconditionally for no reason. Anyway guys, please like, comment and subscribe. If you watched all of this, I really appreciate it. It's going to be probably a very long video. Please consider watching some of my drawings, my art. I'm planning to draw a lot of Demon Slayer now that it's airing and it's hype. But this is just one of my favorite stories. I think I just have an unconditional love for Demon Slayer and it's going to be staying in my heart. Even though I've read much better stories with better plots, this is one of my favorite, if not my favorite. Thank you guys a lot for watching. If you really did get this far, I would really appreciate if you type a comment. For the first commenters, I'm really going to come there and talk to you. I would really like to form a relationship with my community. Please consider subscribing and liking, and I'll see you next time. See you later. Bye bye guys.